TCP/IP and protocols and all of that. And for me, internet was accessible on my desktop 24/7, and it was a high-speed connection. So I thought, why don't we book tickets online? And I went to Sharma Travels and I told, I'll build a site for you. Now, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. But here comes the analysis. Now, why was he not interested? You have the clue here. I don't know. Can anybody have a guess?
How to get the money?
Pardon? Exactly. So 1999, I was using internet on a daily basis, but the rest of India wasn't, especially not for e-commerce. So I was in my own bubble thinking people use internet for everything. Sharma Travels hadn't heard of internet, and probably most of their customers wouldn't have heard of internet. So I went back to him with a different proposal, saying that you could build a site and tell all these internet centers to be your resellers. At the end of the day, it was a difficult sell, it didn't happen. So I didn't start a company, I didn't quit my job, but I thought if this works out, maybe I could, I didn't. Around the same time, just one minute. Okay. So I was an avid reader, I read a lot of books, and I spent a lot of money on books and all that, and I built a relationship with a brand bookstore in Bangalore. So, and that time, Amazon was the up and coming thing, so I went to the proprietor of brand bookstore, and I told him, see, I can build a site for you, and get paid for it as a services kind of a thing. Now we did talk. It went to a certain level, but I quoted a certain price which they didn't like. Then they thought about Amazon, they offered me a price which I didn't like, in terms of, I thought it was too less. And so that didn't come through, in between I had to go to the US and stuff, so that fell through. We can go to the next, the page. One is the same thing, timing. 1999 was not the time for e-commerce in India. Then second was when they gave a counter offer of me of a lower price. I just didn't have the presence of mind to understand, maybe I could go for an E3. Maybe this could be an independent company where they were the book providers and I could build the site. And maybe I take a minority stake, but anyhow, the biggest thing is there. So I did not realize that's because I was too young. And I didn't know enough about business to sort of understand that I could do that. So it basically boils down to immaturity. So partial success. After that, I worked in Delhi for another protocol company, and then I was done with coding. So then I was thinking, maybe get an MS or an MBA, and I was back in Hyderabad, and I was looking at opportunities. When somebody I knew set up a management consultancy, I told, why don't you come join me? I thought, this is a great thing. If I'm going to be an entrepreneur someday, I might as well work in a management consultancy. So I was the first employee of this consultancy. I don't know how many of you have heard of this. It's a very small firm. It was based out of. I think he was a member of. Mr. Nandakumar was a member of Hyderabad English. So Mr. Nandakumar, he was the head of the Nagarjuna group. He was a pretty accomplished person in IIT XLR, 20-30 years in the industry, and he set up the Chennai division of the TCS management consultancy and stuff like that. So I thought it's a fantastic opportunity to work with him, and I worked with him for about a year. And I sort of volunteered. I didn't even ask for a salary. And I just, working there, we had a huge library of management books, read it all the time. And he gave me a couple of projects which I executed, to his satisfaction. So he offered me a job, and I sort of, that wasn't my aim. So I told him, I can't accept a job, but I worked with him. So this being a management consultancy itself did not, so it did very well purely based on his personal value. Now, to grow a company, you need to build a second set of leadership, which was very difficult for him because of the constraints of pay and stuff, of getting the talent and getting them to stay. So there was a high churn of the junior staff. Now people used to come, they used to learn because, fresh out of college, you're sitting with the board of directors, you're sitting with CEOs, you're talking to them, they get a lot of value and they move. So we and Vision sort of, did both. And, now it's no longer there. So let's go on to the next slide, please. Okay. That after having worked on management consultancy for this time, I had sort of, put that entrepreneurship bug in a lot of my friends back in Bangalore. So they had set up a firm and they were running it for some time, and when they heard that I was in this consultancy for some time, they asked me to come join them. So I went back to Bangalore and joined these people. They were very, very smart people, from our institutes, and one of them had the best employee award from Infosys and all that. So they all come out, set up this firm. They had a big office, 3 employees, and the project was on the way, and but I realized that they called me because they were having difficulty making sales. So the first thing that they asked me was to make an investment. Like, they give me a couple of months, that is the whole thing. Then I'll make the investment because I'm already out of my job for so long. And my savings are so limited. So when I went there, I realized they didn't have a real business plan. They were smart. They could execute projects, but they didn't have any niche. Okay, we'll do only this kind of projects, or they want to target this kind of a vertical, and and so I sort of pushed my free software agenda onto them, and but we didn't get a lot of projects for a long time, and these guys were burning a lot of cash. They had taken up a huge office. With just 4 employees, I think we had about 3,050 or something. And there's no point paying that kind of rent when there is no income. But these guys were rich with cash because they've been to US, lived there for 2-3 years, and they had a lot of cash to burn, so they just kept burning the cash. So finally, we did get a couple of small projects. We did go out pitch to a couple of clients, and by the time these people, they sort of run out of cash, and they were much older than me. They want to get married, and there were other professions. So they sort of decided fine, they're going back, and so the analysis is they were prepared for success. They were not prepared for failure. They didn't understand that you need to have staying power till you actually get your first paying project. So with the burning cash, their ability to sustain themselves was very, very less. And when I got them the first project, they didn't embrace it with the full, enthusiasm they did, because by that time they were already in the back of their mind, they were thinking, oh, we need to go back. So we didn't get an opportunity, we sort of capitalized on it, but the company didn't go. The side effects of that, when they started losing money and there were no projects, people started getting desperate. Okay, and in that desperation, people sort of, there was some offer in the newspaper saying that you make a 50,000 rupee deposit and you get to do some work, and then at the end of it you get paid back. Okay, it's basically a scam. And these people were actually, looking forward to do that. But if you step back and you look at it, what you realize is these people are all B&Fs. Probably the top rankers in the state and stuff like that. Any person would want to outsource people's projects in this team. So if somebody is asking from us as a deposit, then it's definitely a scam. So, I was the only guy with money. They asked me to invest. I refused to invest, and so luckily, we didn't lose money. And even people went back to their jobs, and I came back to Hyderabad. So the next. Okay. So before we go to my company, I just want to give you a small success thing which I had in college. So in REC, this was in Haryana, and there used to be this college festivals kind of stuff. And every time there was a festival, there was somebody who used to print some T-shirts about the college and stuff. And there was a heavy, as we call it, a strong guy who would come drop a T-shirt in your room, and whether you like it or not, you were supposed to go pay him. And I thought, this is stupid. You want a T-shirt, why should you be forced to buy? Let me go ahead and create something which people will want to buy. So what I did, most Indian students, they want to be known that they got into engineering at that age. Right? Now that's the success they had. So what I did, I put a big REC Kurukshetra emblem, and the back, in very, very large letters, I wrote, "We engineers make the world." And I sold out the first batch in about a day. Then I went to Delhi again, got a second batch printed, went back. They got sold out in 2 days. And after that, I just told one of my friends to go get it done. I gave him the contact to go get it done. He got it done. By the way, I borrowed money for all of this. and I got it done. And in the end, even the defective t-shirts I could sell at full price. People were waiting, that, at the end, the defective t-shirt will probably buy at a discounted price. I refused to sell it at a discounted price, and, eventually, I made a decent amount of money for my, for a college student. Okay? Then after this, the previous slide, I came back here, and I was, taken by one, the free software philosophy. And the second thing is, free software has a very, very compelling business proposition. If the source code is free and that the software is pretty much free, there is going to be adoption whether you like it or not. And there is an opportunity for services around it. So I came back, I didn't have a job, but I had a lot of technical skills in Linux and open source. So I started spreading the word around that we have a guy who is available for consulting. And to my friends or to I even taught for a time in Amipet and to students or whatever, companies came to know, and Linux tools were very, very rare at that time. And I started getting small projects, and these were like one-person projects, but I decided I'm going to charge $10 per hour, whether it be Indian client or whether it be whatever. And I did get paid. I got paid something like 5,000 rupees a day for a day's worth of consulting. So you do 3 or 4 days of consulting, you're pretty much a monthly expense taken care of. So that gave me the freedom to sort of work on other ideas that I had, plus of course a lot of time for my hobbies. So the focus on free software is still there. We still do a lot of free software consulting. We make pretty decent amount of money. Along this time, I managed to attract a very strong technical team, people from which Fulani, some of them are here right now. Was done from MS from UT Austin. They come back, and there's somebody from IT. So the next step for Arnosis is we are planning a mega project for a global SaaS-based project. There's more on that later. I don't want to reveal it right now, but at some point it will be a public project, as in free. So the SaaS product is going to be something for enterprises. Other records. So after I started Arnosis, and I had a pretty decent amount of success, I had money, so I had people or my old classmates coming back and talking to me about ideas. The first one of my friends, he did an MBA from IIT Delhi, and he worked in the insurance industry for some time. And he came and told one day, why don't we create insurance tutorials? People don't know anything about insurance, so why don't we make an insurance tutorial site, an education site? By that time, I had the whole rigmarole of very less money and struggling to pay my bills and stuff. I told him, this is a hobby project. You can't do a hobby project and make money out of it, so how else can we make money out of it? So we had a lot of discussions, and then I asked him, why don't we start selling insurance on it? He told me we could, and we started looking into it. We paid somebody to do some market research. We found we could actually build a sustainable model around it. But what came out of our study is that to sell multiple insurances online, you need to have something called an insurance brokerage. If you want to sell insurance of a single company, you get an agency. You get an agent permit, so you become an agent for a single insurance company. But if you want to sell multiple insurances, you need to have brokerage license. And the brokerage license requires about 50 lakhs of paid capital, which needs to be deposited in IRDA. I still didn't have that kind of money. So we sort of decided, okay, let's not get into it, because you cannot put, even if you scrounge around in a beg, borrow, steal 50 lakhs and put it, I really doubt how many people will buy insurance online. It will be too, we may not have the staying power to actually see through with success. So we aborted that idea right after the market survey stage. After that, there's somebody who had, one of my friends, he came up with a triple ladder concept, which is, he was in the US and he gave me this idea, and I could see some potential. This was something like a TripAdvisor, but very, very community oriented, where, your experiences traveling, overnight trips or, 1 week trips, a weekend trip kind of a thing, where you can get it for cheap and, you are prepared before you go out on your weekend trip. So the failures was one. For them, it was a bit of a hobby project because they were gainfully employed in the US. and there were commitment issues, and they didn't understand the grind which comes with a startup from scratch. It's a self-funded thing. You have deadlines, you keep your money is tight. Your project deadlines are tight. Everything is tight. You have employee churn. So they were not really prepared for that kind of a grind. So eventually, that broke up, and one of the side effects of that is a strained friendship. I think there's one more thing which you guys need to be clear about it. Starting up with friends. So if things don't work out, that's something you need to be prepared for. So now, coming back to one of the success stories, is the deal spot. So let's do fast. So one of my friends, he was one of the toppers of the Kshetra, and he worked for some time, and then he did an MBA from ISB, and he, after finishing ISB, he was, head of the product of 99acres.com, and we were in touch all the time, and one day he saw I was doing pretty well, and he came and told, why don't we do something together? And I told him, okay, fine, what do you want to do together? The first idea that he gave was a DVD rental, online DVD rental. Now, when you've been in the startup trend for so long, immediately look at what are the big trends. The first thing will be, intellectual property. Are you going to get rights to develop the DVD? Second is operations. You need somebody to keep mailing out the DVDs and getting them back. Plus, getting the licenses and talking to the film people, we had no idea at all. So I told him, boss, there's no way we are going to work on this because we don't know, build a website. We have the skills, but the business itself we cannot run. We gave that up. Then he came with an idea of a daily deal because Groupon was, I think, 2006, 2007, Groupon was starting to do well in the US. And he came with a daily deal kind of a site. And immediately I realized that cannot work in India for the very same reason that in 1999, just how internet was being used, I really couldn't see how we are going to reach out the right kind of people with the Groupon kind of concept, number one. Number two is Groupon is very, very operational intensive. You need to have strong sales force in every city. You need those people to keep getting the deals. And the second thing is, how are you going to build enough critical mass to actually start selling those deals? So I decided, no, that's not going to happen. So I told him, these are all, not very great ideas. Why don't you, show me the money? Tell me something where we know our customer very well, and we know that he has money, and we will sell to them. So we sort of, thought about it for a couple of months, and he told, why don't you, build a deal site for corporate employees? I told, yes. Now that's something which will work. But at least there is a higher chance of it successful because we know the customer has money, we know the customer needs deals, and if we can't make money out of it, then it's our problem. It's not the environment's problem. And we thought, okay, let's give this a try. So we built this. The team is pretty good. This is ISP and stuff. But still, we had challenges. We were largely self-funded. My savings, the ISP, my friend savings, and we sort of borrowed from all our friends or family, and we started setting it up. And the corporate sales cycle takes a long time. So we build this employee privilege platform, then we go to a company, and it's not an essential thing for them, and they're not saving a lot of money, so it's not very high on their priority list. We sort of knew it, and we sort of built ourselves to sustain that whole long sales cycle. So we had an operation which was very, very low cost, but the thing was, we knew corporate employees. We were corporate employees for so long, and my friends were for so long. We know how much they make. We know what are their aspirations at different age levels. What are somebody in their early 20s, the mid 20s, they will look at restaurants or pubs. 25, they might be looking to sort of get married, and then then they'll have babies, and after that they'll be looking to buy a house. They will be looking to buy a car. So we know what kind of deals to bring to them. So we decided, let's go ahead with this, and we had a pretty reasonable success initially, but there was a lot of pressure on us, from the angels we visited, or from the VCs. Why are you guys restricting your audience? Why don't you open it up? Now we never wanted to open it up because we open it up, we don't know whom we are selling to. So if you don't know whom you are selling to, you don't know what he wants, you can't give him what he wants. And we might end up, getting into the low segment, where it's a tattoo parlor or stuff like that. They're not big ticket items. You'll not make a lot of money on that. So we consciously had a lot of arguments on it that we successfully managed to stay focused on corporate employees or people with verified net worth, that we know that these people are worth something. So what happened was, we thought, okay, we have this huge set of, people who are making money, and we have a captive audience. They are going through HR. They're on their intranet. So we expected the VCs to sort of blindly fund us. That doesn't work that way. Their calculations are different. Their multiplication, unless they see $100 million value revenue over the next 5 years, they don't really invest. And we didn't really see $100 million. I mean, it could happen, but we don't know and we can't see it. What we were projecting was probably 10 million over the next 3 years. So we decided on this. Let's not go after funding. At least right now. Let's start building our revenue model. And over the last 4-5 months, we've been looking at building our revenue model. And I'm happy to say that hopefully this month or the next month, it should be cash positive. So going more to the next slide. So we have had reasonable success. We are the exclusive vendors to HCL, GE, Ericsson, Quattro, Ensure. We have a lot of other small companies. We go to the HR, we tell them we are going to give exclusive privileges to their employees, and it's free of cost for the corporate. So despite that, there are long sales cycles, but right now we are empaneled right there. And it is starting to be that whichever vendor approaches a company to give a deal, they are redirected to us. So we get vendors from HCL who are also interested in giving a deal to, let's say, Ericsson. So it's building up both ways. So we have a couple of pilots running in Infosys and TCS, and in advanced discussions with a couple of other major corporates. So critical mass, we have reached critical mass because the HR departments are driving demand. We have HR people calling us right now saying that they are interested in having this platform for their company. So for us, that is a validation that what we thought through and what we have worked out is actually being in demand. One is you are trying to sell it to them. Second is the customer is coming to you to buy it. Then the businesses, restaurants or people that keep it on this platform, because a lot of them do not want to be known as a discount brand. So they will never go to a Groupon, they will never go to a Snapdeal, but they will come to us because we have the right audience for them. Now they want to target this audience, and if they are on this site, they do not dilute their brand. So we have business keen to get onto this platform. So we planned expansion. They're going to be some mobile apps, and the user base we are looking to increase. You're done? Okay. So I'm pretty much done. So we have a user base of what we call verified network individuals. So it's either a corporate employee, and we are slowly starting to expand it to people who have a great card or a debit card. So next slide. Some advice here. But then so what you have learned from all the failures is your team needs to be with you. You have to build it. You have to treat all your stakeholders with respect. Staying power is very, very important because you never know when you're going to succeed. You got to pace yourself and allow yourself and plan for the delay in success. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a month. It's not going to happen in 3 months. But every time you're learning, from every failure you're learning and you're adapting. So unless you plan for that, unless you plan your finances for that, you will run out of money and you'll have to push on. So yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. So yeah, so somebody told me, one of my mentors told me, you have to earn your right to dream. So earning your right to dream means you have to do all the grind work, because before you can say, okay, I'm going to open up. So one other learning which I've had is that a lot of business friction in India, whether it be funding, whether it be getting the deals signed, whether it be getting the deals honored, whether it be the government interactions with your taxes or refunds or permissions. So one of the things that we're doing is for the SaaS product, we are probably going to register in Singapore. Of course, not only because of that, it's also because it's going to be a global product. So if any of you guys are looking to build a global product, you will have your operations in India, but you might want to register in Singapore. So pretty much Pretty much that's what it is. Any questions? You're done?